My name's Chris.
And have you ever felt like this? When strange things happen, Masterchef throws in a twist. And another one.
And this is the Washing Up podcast. And it's twist week.
Come on, everybody.
Yeah,
everybody.
Yeah, it's Chubby Checkers kind of week.
There's a skeleton on the dunny.
Oh, we're back, ladies and gentlemen, into an era, a simpler era, an era that like time has forgotten, except for the casual racism. And cast your mind back to the 1950s. We've got lots of listeners who were alive in the 1950s. Not that many of them, but
no.
They're not fans of the word felching normally. So that's the.
Well, that's what you think, but there were like some.
No, I don't need to know about no.
No, because there was, there were some secret gay hangouts.
Don't mention the glass. Don't mention glass
felching
coffee. Don't mention glass coffee
hangouts.
tables. Anyway, so it's an interesting week. It's an intriguing week. It's a week where we've already lost someone. It's a week where the challenge tonight was fascinating, and we're going to talk about all of the fascinating elements of that.
It's a week where Melissa contrived to work from home.
Yeah, it's a week where Melissa got some practice in before COVID, which was good. Good for Melissa. We're going to start talking about that challenge in particular because it was an interesting challenge. It was a fascinating concept, and it's about takeaway.
Yeah.
Now, I thought it was interesting because we talked about the idea that there might be controversy. And I tweeted out, before we started, we want you to tweet out what the food is and the country of origin. And I think I immediately tweeted out, I can't see this causing any form of problem.
No, not at all.
Right.
Not with laksa, not with kebabs. Oh my God, I was like, come on, bring on a kebab. But they didn't fucking get there.
Let the fight take place.
Yeah.
So we got, obviously laksa was the one that caused the big problem, although pho kind of amazingly enough tripped people over.
Yeah.
But laksa caused a huge
and Peking
problem.
ducks.
Well, that too. Well, that was
Pancakes.
more more Ben having a brain fart. And it was, I've never seen a group of people look at an individual.
Like, how did you miss this?
We talked the other day about when Ben and Reynold and Amelia were staring at what the fuck Hayden was doing to the honeycomb.
Yes.
Well, this was revenge for everybody else looking at Ben. Because Gaston is there and he puts up rice paper rolls. And you just saw, like, everyone's like, we've all got this right. And then they look down the line and they're like, no. And they're all going, it's Ben. It's Ben. It's Ben. And they're pointing. And
it's like when Elle Woods shows up at that party in a Playboy bunny outfit. And Ben just went, all right, that's it. I didn't see him getting wasted and dancing on a table.
The funniest part about it is, at that moment, Ben has two options. One, he's just fucked up massively and he's not going to acknowledge it. He's just going to pretend and look straight ahead. Or two, every other contestant is fucked and Ben is the only one going to the gantry.
Yeah.
At that moment, there are two options flashing through his mind.
Yeah, I'm like, I could be right.
Yo, bitches.
You are wrong.
Yo, bitches, I got this right, and you all can cook off.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for Gaston, not the case.
Yeah.
But then we got to laksa. Laksa became controversial.
Well, it's only because, like, Singapore and Malaysia had a bit of a split.
Well, the thing is, Singapore and Malaysia have had, like, diplomatic fights over this. And the third part is, no one mentioned it, but Indonesia is technically a correct answer as well.
Why?
Well, I did a bit of research last night, and yes, I used Wikipedia, but when I look at Wikipedia, I go and look at references and stuff as well. That's how you're supposed to use it. And it is culturally most synonymous with Malaysia and Singapore, although it is also culturally synonymous with Indonesia because the same people that took it from also took it to. So
okay, but that's two, so that's just proving the point. But that's country of origin. That's what we're looking at.
But what we're talking about, though, when we're talking country of origin, when they said Malaysia and Singapore, Singapore is acceptable because they took it from Malaysia to Singapore. And
it's because Malaysia and Singapore were one country.
But it was because of the split and because of the individuals involved in that split.
Yeah.
Similar sorts of things happened when Indonesia was the Dutch East Indies.
Oh,
and under colonial rule of Holland.
This is what you get with a historian on the podcast.
Holland rules large parts. Again, it's all the colonial bits, and remember, all these countries are created like post-World War I and post-World War II when the British decide to start drawing lines on maps.
Well, we'll let the Dutch have this one, shall we?
And no problems ever came from dividing countries on maps.
No.
So the British have never done that. But the thing is,
I don't know, India.
Indonesia is also an acceptable answer, but nobody put it, so that was okay. But Singapore and Malaysia, I feel like if they knew that it was going to have two answers to it, they probably shouldn't have done it, or at least not done it that early.
Yeah, but they wanted to speed things up, and I don't think they thought that 3 people... And where... Vietnam?
That's the interesting part. I could have understood Thailand.
Because you're like, okay, you know, Thai restaurants do serve a bit of laksa.
They serve a lot of laksa.
Yeah.
Right. Vietnam was just baffling.
I was like, no, that's pho. It's not the laksa.
I was staggered by the Vietnam call. That was the thing that was just...
And that was Tessa, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and Chris?
Yeah, and it was...
Because Tracy said Thai.
Yeah, Tracy, I understood where she was coming from with Thai. That made sense to me. Vietnam made no sense whatsoever. I would never have put that in there in a million years. No. I would have actually preferred, by the way, that it was actually like a burger and you had to work out what fast food restaurant it was from, or a piece of fried chicken. It was we're going to talk about fast food. Now tell us the country of origin of this.
Takeaway, not fast food.
We're going to talk about takeaway. Tell us the country of origin. Like you've really given that 2 seconds of thought in your life.
Yeah.
Because everyone says, "Oh, I'm ordering Chinese." Half the things on a menu at a Chinese restaurant aren't from China.
Yeah, but you know, in Australia, we've got we've got Chinese and we've got Chinese.
What do you most commonly order from Thai?
I commonly order a laksa.
Thank you. So
that doesn't matter though. That doesn't matter because I know it's a Singaporean or Malaysian dish because I've also had them from Malaysian restaurants and I've seen them written down as Singapore laksa.
Okay, so the white bogans that have ordered a steak and chips from a Chinese restaurant,
yeah,
if they got steak and chips, if they'd put down China, are they right?
No.
Because that's what they associate it with.
I'm not arguing that they were right. I'm confused. Move on. This is too much stress. We're all living under a lot of stress.
Come on. You can't use COVID as your background. Let's go into something we can both agree on. Reese's trolling last night with the whiteboard was fucking perfect. So he puts down the first thing and Jock gets all up at him and goes, "Reese, come on, you need to write a lot bigger than that." And so in the second one, it's huge fucking letters. I was hoping that eventually he'd get everyone lined up and when they were all writing it down, just go, lift your shirts, and write on their stomach.
Why?
And get them all to lift up each letter on their stomach so all of the contestants would spell out the name of the dish and the location. You know, like they're at the football.
Yeah.
You know, it could have been really cool. Something that's like, Laksa, Malaysia. And they're all going to lift shirts up to show the letter. And they've got to, no, you've got those letters around the wrong way. Swap. So that would have been really cool. Reese, I liked the way that Reese did that. So we get into the challenge and they're like, so this is what the challenge is. You now have to make a dish for home delivery.
Yep.
And to make this real, Melissa's going home. And, I mean, look, on one hand, great idea. Fantastic idea. Love the concept of the home delivery.
And I was so excited because I'm thinking, the Vespa's going to get a ride.
We'll get to the Vespa.
Someone's going to be able to jump on the Vespa and do a delivery, because we only need one Vespa really to deliver 4 dishes.
We'll get to the Vespa, yeah. We'll get to the Vespa because the Vespa gets its whole segment to itself in this one.
Okay.
But on one hand, it was a really good idea to send Melissa home to do the takeaway. And as a couple of people pointed out, she's the only one of the judges who could talk to herself and it doesn't sound weird. But the problem with doing that was we were left with Jock and Andy. And I don't like the mix of those two because, Andy can't get out of his blokishness for love nor money.
No.
He seems to think that he is the budding television star.
Yeah. Which,
no, you're not. You're doing an okay job. you're still sounding a little bit too Colin Barris for my liking at times.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, Melissa's clearly the breakout star. And Jock's really good too. And look, Andy's not horrible, but he could be better.
Yeah.
But when those two guys get together on camera, it becomes a sausage fest.
Yeah, and it's not like that. There was that whole thing about, is this quail leg? No, do we have to? I like it that we've refined this nasi goreng, and it's just, it just felt like a bit of wankery.
There was a lot of wankery going on.
Wankery, quite frankery.
Look, the part of this that was unusual was the challenge was that Melissa was going home and going to taste test it. Mm-hmm. I like the idea we might have been about to get a bit of a rip-off of Chef's Line, personally.
Yeah.
One judge.
Yeah.
And the other two are just hosting, and Melissa's judging the dishes by herself.
Oh, that would have been
That could have been... We could have... But maybe SBS were like, we'll sue. That's a format. But Melissa
Mark
Leong,
Oliver pops up in the background going, "You left me, you think you're too good for me now."
Melissa's just the window. Melissa Leong has a history of being able to judge these things solo, so she could have done it.
Yeah.
But, like, I thought, well, that might be a way to do it. But then they're like, you have to make a version for us here, and then you have to make it travel, basically.
Which is fair enough, because a lot of restaurants who do takeaway have to make one for in-house, and one who have to make one like
it was, but the way they explained it made it sound more like they were going to eat it first and then send the leftovers back to Melissa. Mm. That was how they first explained it. It sounded like she was getting Jock and Andy's leftovers.
40 seconds.
I'm not eating that.
No.
But thankfully it was making their own dish, although as we'll come to in a moment, not everyone replicated their dish for the in-dining and takeout experience. All right, we will come to the finesse behind each of these dishes very shortly. We will. And we will talk a bit more about takeaway, and we'll talk about all this sort of food culture.
Yeah.
But we now need to get into some serious territory.
Mm.
We have for years on this podcast hypothesised that the reason the Vespa is there is that they make the extra money for Masterchef by doing Uber Eats delivery.
Yep.
And we've put this idea forward many times that they need to do a delivery challenge where someone jumps on the Vespa and rides the food to someone.
Yeah, for sure.
So first of all, thank you for listening, producers, and we greatly appreciate your listening to us. We're thrilled.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: next time we give you an idea, can you just fucking do it?
Like, don't go after that dirty sponsorship money. We understand, you need sponsorship.
Like, we know that this was a Deliveroo sponsorship
But
deal.
it could have been the Vespa flagged by the Deliveroo people. Like, if you're going to send out 4 fucking Vespas to deliver 4 fucking dishes, just make it 5.
And while we're at it, and while we're at it on this, right? Melissa made a really big point about renewable containers and saving the planet.
Oh, that's good.
4 fucking bikes turned up to deliver her food when one guy on a bike could have done it. Mm-hmm. And then she drove back to the studio.
Yep.
Therefore, the amount of carbon emissions more than makes up for the fucking container that you did. So, it's really important we save the planet with renewable containers. Meanwhile, fucking greenhouse gas emissions through the roof.
And I was excited because I'm like, oh, okay, cool. They've actually got real Deliveroo drivers there because...
It feels like they went to central casting for their delivery driver. I think they didn't just go, give us anyone.
Yeah.
They're like, central casting, we want your finest, please. And like he gave the smile and everything. But it was, look, I think that the failure of this challenge was the Vespa was fucking ignored. Like, and they did not use the Vespa at any point in time. They did a delivery challenge. They've got a Vespa. No one used it.
I mean, that Vespa's been there in the Masterchef yard for years waiting for its chance to shine. It's usually just a passing few seconds as the camera pans through the garden. And, we've seen it, appear in people's Instagram feeds, but never really taken centre stage. And this was its chance. But you know what? Masterchef Santa said, not today, Rudolph. Well, I bet you all those other Vespas laughed and called it names. And they never let poor Masterchef Vespa join in any Vespa games.
It was really sad. Like, the poor Vespa is, like, sitting there feeling all neglected as 4 bikes turn up to do its job.
It's like, I'm right here, guys. The fuck am I?
Exactly. It's fucking ridiculous. Anyway, far more...
Fucking hell.
So let's move on. let's get to the more important point, which is, okay, you've got a food delivery service challenge.
Yep.
What, in your experience, delivers well, and what, in your experience, would you avoid?
Well, what they cooked actually delivers well. So your things like your curries and rice-based dishes, noodle-based dishes are usually pretty good. What I wouldn't get delivered is things like battered fish.
Well, that was what Tracy was going to start with, battered chicken. And, like, there were people going 20-minute ride for battered chicken in a container. It's going to sweat.
Yeah.
It loses a lot of the crunch. You can keep it, but it loses a lot of the crunch if the containers that you're using aren't breathable.
Absolutely. So, like, I think it was a good call that she didn't do that.
I think she bailed and did the right thing.
Yeah,
and what she made was good.
Oh, fuck yeah. So, soups deliver well. Pizza's okay.
Here's the interesting part, because, like, we're talking about the idea of
other things that don't
we're
deliver
talking
well.
about the idea
Ice
of
cream.
delivery. Here's something that actually delivers surprisingly well, folks. I mentioned this on Twitter last night, and I don't think people believe me.
What?
Sizzler.
Yeah,
I have been ordering Sizzler since everything shut down, and let me tell you something, folks. We're not sponsored, by the way, before you go. It's not a fucking paid... Sizzler don't have enough money to sponsor anybody. Let's face it. But nobody's at the salad bar. They're not leaving the food out in trays. They're making it in the kitchen and then just sending it out. So therefore, it's better quality. It hasn't dried out. It hasn't been sitting... The pasta salad hasn't been sitting there for 45 minutes because everyone's rushing over to the potato skins.
Can I just say, when I moved to this particular area in miscellaneous city that has a sizzler, I mean, my nephews were so excited. I think they're about 10 and 12 at this stage or thereabouts. And my youngest nephew, like, we need to go to Sizzler. I'm like, but there's one near your house. Like, we literally are the two areas that have a Sizzler close to them. And he's like, oh, but I've got to see what your Sizzler's like. So we went to Sizzler. Now, they insisted that they were going to eat everything. So my older sister bought them, like, the full salad bar, blah, blah, blah. My youngest nephew, well, he's not my youngest nephew now, but he was at the time, disappears for 20 minutes. Just, we're all sitting down with our, salads, whatever. He disappears for about 20 minutes, finally comes back over after fucking perusing that salad bar for what seemed like an eternity. Comes back with a plate, like a large dinner plate, half croutons, half tinned pineapple. That was the entirety of his meal.
That's effort. I mean, that's spectacular.
Sizzler. Apart from the dessert bar.
That's spectacular. I would have then put the mousse on top of it.
Yes.
That's perfect.
So I'm going to message him and say, look, you can get delivered Sizzler now. If you get a crouton and pineapple craving.
Not for nothing. Surprisingly good.
Yes.
So I think, look, there are a couple of things. Pizzas obviously travel well. Like pastas travel well, rice travels well, soup does, as you said.
Kebabs travel okay?
Like a couple of people pointed out, like halal snack packs were surely.
Where the fuck's the halal snack pack?
Surely that could have been a thing.
P-Day travels well.
Yeah, again, you could have put, like, a lot of those things would have travelled very well. Interestingly enough, as I said,
Sushi travels
poor
okay?
Tracy, not for 20 minutes, I wouldn't.
Okay.
I wouldn't do it for 20 minutes. Poor Tracy picked one of the only things that doesn't travel for 20 minutes.
Dumplings travel okay?
They can.
Oh, yeah, no, they oversteam. They
oversteam. They oversteam. If they're crispy, they are no longer crispy by the time they get to you. If they're steamed, they're soggy.
Right. Yeah.
Or they're stodgy.
Pasta travels okay.
So pastas in sauces travel really well. They do a really good job. Yeah.
Cob loaf. Do you reckon cob loaf would travel okay?
I don't know who would be delivering cob loaf.
I don't care. Just me. I should make a cod loaf delivery, like that should be, if that's my hobby business. Just
your hobby farm is going to be cob loaf delivery.
No, my hobby farm is oyster farming, and my hobby business is cob loaf making delivery.
You've got a plan. I can't argue that you don't have a business plan. Now, we also saw. Well, there was a crime. There was a crime committed in the kitchen. Tessa committed the crime.
Oh, Tess.
It was a crime against fish. And what I was really upset about was that's Simon's domain.
Like, I honestly felt like the spirit of, like, Simon's on the gantry and goes for a little astral traveling and accidentally, like, before trying to get back into his body, he ends up in Tessa's body and he's like, I'm butchering a fish, literally. And then before he manages to get himself back out and into his body. So I'm just presuming that's what happened to Tessa.
So we had an interesting array of ideas. So we'll start with Gaston.
Yep.
So Gaston, a man who has suddenly discovered Indonesian heritage and is rapidly using it to his advantage. Mm-hmm. So he makes nasi goreng. I thought it was... I mean, there were some...
But that's clever, because we're not talking about ice cream now, are we?
It was ridiculous. Look, it was ridiculously clever of him to do the nasi goreng, because we know it's going to hold up. We know it's going to be okay when it's delivered. We knew that all of this was going to be fine. That was the point.
Yeah.
And it was. The issue with Gaston's is the egg.
Yeah, because he changed up the egg. He did quail for in-dining.
Yep, so the instruction was that you needed to make the same dish. Now, I know some people will go... And
Masterchef it up, which is where I think the confusion reigned.
Well, the Masterchef it up bit came later, and that was when they were doing the judging that Andy suddenly decided, he's Masterchefed it up. And you're like, it's not a verb anymore, we got rid of that.
No, but I'm pretty sure he mentioned something about...
They wanted it to be made fancy, but they didn't use Masterchef. They used it in judging. Right. Andy suddenly went nuts with Masterchefing, and everyone on Twitter went, we've left that behind, Andy, it's no longer a verb. But the nasi goreng was a good call. But the egg thing is interesting because the challenge was make it the same dish. Then he goes, I can't do the fried egg on top. And notice, by the way, nobody suddenly had a problem with fried eggs on top of things.
No, because
Curtis Stone there, and suddenly it's amazing how that works.
His mind would have blown with 2 fucking eggs on top.
This is the second time I've fucking seen someone put an egg on top of like a rice or a pasta.
Shit,
what's next?
What's going on?
So
next you'll be telling me you put like fried shallots and stuff.
So the problem with that though was that Ben did the runny sort of the fried egg on top for the in dining, and then did a different type of egg deep fried.
Yeah.
Right. So
which turned out to be better.
The one deep fried, he actually should have just done the deep fried for both.
Yeah.
But he changed it up because it doesn't travel, and they went, "Oh, that's clever." And I'm like, "No, it's not clever. You told them it needed to travel."
Yeah.
So you told them it needed to do something, and then when it didn't, you went, "Oh, clever thing to change that." And it just, again, it might feel nitpicky. It might feel a bit nitpicky, but like you look at it and you're like, I don't know.
Because it's different to Tessa's technique where she deliberately made the choice to pull Melissa's serving of fish out before it was fully cooked.
Because it was going to cook on the journey, which was very smart.
Absolutely clever.
But that wasn't... She didn't change the dish.
No, it was the same dish. It was just a preparation timing thing and a consideration
but there was no difference in the dish, whereas there was a difference between...
fish won't travel, I'm going to put bloody pork in this.
Yeah. There wasn't a difference in what she served. It was just the difference of preparation. I thought that what... I thought that what Tessa served up was quite good.
Yeah, and it had extra components with it, so it wasn't just a rice dish.
Yeah, she made the bread as well, and that was really cool. I thought that was really good. Tracy's... I thought Tracy did a really clever thing changing over to the chicken and making it and making it something that wasn't fried, and going with the curry idea that everyone else has sort of gone
Absolutely,
with.
And then adding to it with that beautiful little herb salad, like that looked delish.
And what I also thought was good about Tracy's was the level of generosity in the serving.
Yeah.
The other issue I had with Ben's, like the nasi goreng that he served them, what the fuck? It was tiny. Like it's 2 mouthfuls and the rice is gone.
I'm just feeling his ancestors would just be quite disappointed, like just considering whether excommunicate him from their bloodline. You know, it's just a teeny tiny little rice dish. Like it was barely enough to feed a toddler.
Now I feel like the other problem in this challenge was, unfortunately for pork. I mean, Chris decided at this point to do a vegetarian dish.
Sure.
The man who has talked up his abilities with meat.
Yeah.
And he said, well, we do this one all the time at home. It's actually what we make all the time at home. A bunch of people, by the way, didn't know that he got married after that season of MasterChef.
What?
Yeah, there were a ton of people going, oh my God, I can't believe those two married. And I'm like, yeah,
that's all right.
That happened at the time. But it was fascinating.
Good. They've got their privacy. That's great.
It was good. But they didn't hide it.
But, you know.
They talked openly about it. But Chris going with that dish, it was interesting, and the gantry made Chris question a lot of life choices. There were a couple of moments when he was preparing it, and when he was preparing all the different parts of it, and you just saw the gantry like ask, and Chris was like, life choice challenged. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I thought it was okay. It didn't have the same punch that everything else had.
No.
It felt like it was not I don't want to say a step down, but it felt like it was not quite to the same.
It wasn't a contestant saving dish.
No, not in a week where you had all the other sort of dishes that we had and all the other things that were plated up, which were just outstanding.
Yeah.
And the other,
which shows you where we're at in the competition. It's quite a high standard. I mean, it's always been a high standard this round because it's everyone who's been on there before. But it really shows that one false move at the moment will see you go home. Because Chris has been quite strong in the past couple of weeks. He's been a very good player. Remember his fish work in the group challenge at the Thai restaurant? He's just been a solid player.
And I want to quote here, like, at Nardine92 on Twitter had one of my favourite tweets of the night when she said that I think that Chris nailed the brief then because all my takeaways have only been okay and never outstanding.
Exactly. Miss Long's like, this is exactly what takeaway is.
And can we hold a moment of silence, please, for the My Dinner with Andre style conversation that we got with the judging? When Jock and Andy started discussing, so where do you eat your takeaway at home, and what do? Do you sit down on the lounge and watch the TV, or do you sit at the table? I bet you sit in front of the TV and eat it. I sit in front of the TV. Will you? Oh, you've got to sit in front of the TV and eat it. I'm like, what the fuck are we watching?
Like, at least Kant, like, you much to our entertainment, threw his sister under the bus, just going, like, who is she? You know, we get takeaway and she makes us put it on a plate like it was a burger and chips.
Well, I mean, that has become...
that was on Twitter. That
has become far more common in terms of COVID. With the whole, I'm not eating it out of that container, I'm going to put it on a plate. Like,
just think of this, right? My friend who lives in New York City described the process it took for him to order a pizza. Because, it's fucking life or death out there. So he decided, because he's working from home, long hours, that night he was just going to splash out, order a pizza, which usually is a knock, knock, here's your pizza, whoop, there you go. So he instructed the person to leave the pizza outside the house. He took a plate from inside the house that had, I think was on a tray, or something like a piece of cardboard that was disposable. He had gloves on. He unboxed, took the gloves off, and had to scoop the pizza onto the plate that was on the disposable tray. He then took, it just was this long, he said it basically took half an hour from start to finish to make sure that he had absolutely no contact with any of the pieces apart from the pizza.
Yeah, see, like when we order something, I pick the bag up, bottom, not handle.
So now I'm wondering if in the grand final, because it all has to be separate, if now they have to do a delivery challenge COVID style.
Well, I mean...
and it has to survive not only the 20-minute journey, but the half-hour unpacking process.
Well, here's my problem. My problem with this as well was that, this was an hour and a half cook. It's an hour and a half delivery.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if I'm ordering something and they go, it's going to be an hour and a half, I'm cancelling my order. And Uber Eats is refunding me. And I know it was a Deliveroo challenge. Well, fuck that. I don't know many people that actually use Deliveroo.
And they don't come out our way.
No, they don't. They won't come out here anyway.
To you.
Only in the inner city of miscellaneous
only the
city.
trendy people. You and your latte sipping set, rather than the latte sipping set at home like us who have a machine to make us lattes.
Well, you have lattes.
I have lattes. You have long black coffees
like
your
my heart.
soul.
Yeah. Okay, so before we get into sort of moving into tonight's challenge. We need to talk about the drinking game.
What's the weirdest thing you've ever had delivered? And I'm talking
human heart
about food, not so much like
probably Sizzler. It's weird.
Yeah, it is a choice, isn't it?
It's definitely an option. They give you 2 little containers of the Sizzler mints too, and yes, you get cheese toast. So the drinking game.
Yes.
Banging. They haven't said banging. They've said a couple of other things, but not banging. Andy reminds everyone he doesn't like cake. He got all ready to do it tonight.
Oh.
And then he just sort of intimated that we all know that and kept going. So if you had a drink with that, I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
The Vespa. Well, the poor fucking Vespa. I mean, it was seen, but everyone should have been smashed. Dumplings. No, I thought at one point tonight that Brandon was going to turn the pasta into dumplings, but he didn't. I just look away for a minute. Disaster. Not yet.
No.
Parfait.
No,
we haven't.
We had
a sorbet and an ice cream.
Oh, hold on. What was that plum Something or other. Mascarpone. That's right.
Reference pun relating to Katy Perry. That's coming up on Thursday.
Yeah.
Hibachis. No.
No hibachis.
Contestant says, if blank doesn't work, I'm in trouble. No, that happened. That happened a couple of times last night. That was a few of them. And possibly a few, there were possibly a few tonight as well. But we'll go through that in a moment. So, the challenge tonight.
Yeah.
First of all, no fucking Vespa again. You assholes. You assholes. Anyway.
Could put me back together again. I said, rain. Go, keep talking. I'm doing the round the twist.
I know
song,
what you're doing.
So it gives some ambience because it's twist week apparently.
Anyway,
Who would have thunk it?
Anyway, Hayden lost rock paper scissors. Hayden lost rock paper scissors and had to sit out.
The way he said it though, like they've gone. So Hayden, why are you sitting out? Oh, I lost rock paper scissors.
Yeah, I lost.
And
it was just like the way they all laughed and went, you know what? That's fair. That's fair. To the gantry, young man. And Hayden with the hat backwards.
Went to the gantry.
Acting like a teenager in the way he said it. Went up to the gantry.
It's all right. I've got an assignment to do anyway, sir.
I've got other things.
See him, you know how teenage boys, well, you definitely know this, how they wrap their arms around a book to write? It's like they've got to hold it in a headlock to write with their heads close down to the page. Like, what the fuck is that? Why do boys do that?
Because their handwriting's shit. Anyway, we had an example tonight of something that we've seen a fair bit in this series. We've sort of talked about it, and I want to get into it a bit more.
Do you think more depth. Hayden drew graffitied penises up there while he was by himself?
100%. So the two teams were Sarah Tiong, Amelia, Tessa, Reese, Simon, Gaston, Brendan Pang, and Khan. And on the other side, you had Reynold, Tracy, Laura, Jess, Sarah, Claire, Amina, and Callum and Poe. So Sarah's great. They go, "You going to be captain?" Yep, I'll be captain. And immediately Sarah goes, "This is your job, your job, your job, your job, your job." Puts people on the stations, goes, "Yep. You want to work with them, you can work with them. You work with them, you work with them. All right, let's do this," and plan the menu. They plan the menu out. They go, "We all know what we're doing. Good, go."
Yep.
The grey team has a conversation about leadership.
Yep.
Poe goes, "I'd like to be captain." Callum goes, "I'd like to be captain." And then Callum's like, "Oh, but if you want to do it, Poe, you can do that." And then there's like, "Oh, but well, maybe Callum, I don't, but Poe, but..." And they film this, and again, it probably is the edit and probably didn't go that long, but they play it like this argument went for a very long time, and then follow that up with basically Callum saying, someone in the group turned around and said, maybe we should have a vote on leader, and someone went, "Well, I'll vote Poe." And then Callum's like, "Well, Poe, if you want it, I'll back out. I'll let you have it." Then Poe goes, "Okay, I really want to do this. I want to do this. It's me." Followed by Poe saying, "I have a very democratic style of leadership." And again, it's the edit. We know.
Yeah.
But we said the editors have not done Poe a lot of favours. We have argued for the last couple of weeks. It is almost impossible, not because she's necessarily pushy, but just because of who she is. How do you say no to Poe? How do you do it? Is there anyone in there who has the ability to say no to Poe?
And it's not like Poe's very skilled, and I like it that she's assertive and spoke up for herself. Like we need more women just
zero problem
doing that.
With
absolutely. That. But there's been times when Poe's got in the way of herself. Like for example, the Thai restaurant challenge where she came up with this amazing dish, but was it right for that? Because it took 4 people to achieve it. I mean, you couldn't have 4 people just working on 2 entrees at that point. No. You needed more people spread out. And that was a choice. And here she is. And it wasn't until Jock got Reynold and Jess talking that Poe heard exactly what was going into that dessert. And I don't know if that happened really early on in the piece and Poe hadn't gone and spoken to them beforehand and Jock got in there before. But the leadership, it wasn't strong.
We've talked about
what we saw on telly.
We've talked about the leadership styles and the other challenge, and again the one where Poe and her team lost, where Tessa was captain.
Yeah,
Tessa took the Poe laissez-faire, sit back. I trust what Poe's doing.
Yeah,
right. Poe trusted what Reynolds and Jess were doing. And look, yes, these people are highly skilled, but somebody needs to be, and this is what Jock sort of said, someone needs to be the boss.
Because Reynolds and Jess are very artistic. They're creative minds.
We know Reynolds will disappear inside a cloud of liquid nitrogen if you let him.
And you know, muse for days over like flavours and techniques and just gorgeous stuff. And so you do need that practical person to go, okay, we know there's a massive twist coming. We know we've got 50 people to serve and we've got some unexpected. We need to simplify this so service goes smoothly.
Yeah, and what Sarah did with the Brown team was she said to everybody, I want your food prepped, so regardless of what they come up with for a twist, we're ready.
Exactly. And they couldn't have foreseen that their prep would possibly advantage the other team, because I presume that no one thought that there was going to be a swap over. That was initially my thought, is like, oh, they're going to fucking swap this. And
well, the problem was for us as an audience, they showed last night they were swapping everybody.
Yeah.
So they gave it away to the audience. So like at home, we weren't really shocked.
I didn't pay that.
Yeah.
I didn't pay attention to that.
We weren't really shocked at home because last night they did, both teams are swapping over now. So we all knew the swap was coming because they talked about it last night.
But it would have been cooler if they swapped with the same captains.
I think that would have been a better challenge if you swap it over and now Poe's captaining the other team and Sarah's captaining the other team.
Yeah.
And I think you could have got more out of it. So in a minute, we'll talk about why this challenge is a bit of an issue. Well, for me, I don't know if you necessarily agree with that. So I do want to talk about the quandary that poor Twitter found itself in tonight. And I feel sorry for Twitter. Because Laura announces loudly that she's making pasta.
And it makes her happy.
And talks about how happy it makes her. And they're all joking about it. Like everyone, it's a joke at this point. Everyone's like, yeah, you're making pasta. I can't believe you're doing that. She's laughing and everyone's laughing and everyone thinks it's hilarious.
I'm just so happy to see someone who's found their happy place. Like something that authentically, obviously makes them happy. And that they're good at.
There are a couple of things with it. First of all...
But this is Masterchef, not Pasta Chef.
First of all, in a service challenge, this made perfect sense.
What are we? We're Master Chefs. What aren't we? Pasta Chefs.
Well done. But this, in a service challenge, this is right. Like, it's smart. Like, she's like, I can make this in bulk. I know how to make this in bulk.
And
it takes zero time to cook. So it's going to be fast to cook. We're fine. All the prep work is in the making it. We're good. We're sweet. But the problem for poor Twitter was, on one hand, Laura's making pasta. On the other hand, her assistant is Amina, who Twitter does not like to criticise in any way, shape or form. So on one hand, you've got Laura. On the other hand, Amina. It was this weird vortex of like, I want to criticise Laura for Amina's making the pasta with her. Oh, it's good. I don't know anymore. Which was great because it cancelled each other out and no one fucking whinged. It was beautiful. It was a thing of beauty.
Plus, I think the edit helped when they're just like, you know, everyone's taking the piss out of it now. Laura's taking the piss.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a call to make.
Yeah, it was the right call. The other thing I want to ask is, are they just, and we've asked this a couple of times in other challenges, but now it's getting serious, are they still just trolling Marco Pierre White? Or is Kingfish on sale at Coles? I need the answer to the question.
I want to know if you can actually get Kingfish at Coles.
I need the answer to the question, though.
So you know you can't get quail unless it's in a fancy feast.
Yeah, Purina. But the problem was, like, we've seen now Kingfish in every fucking challenge.
Yeah.
Every time there's a fish, it's Kingfish. Now, it might be...
Or tuna.
It might be... Well, we've seen more Kingfish than tuna, though. It might be on trend, but while it's on trend, it's fucking annoying now.
But so maybe guess what's on the easy fish to cook.
But guess what's on the game card next week?
Kingfish.
Kingfish, it has to be. Absolutely has to be. So they start the challenge and we get into the cooking and then they go, the twist is swap.
Now, I know you're not a fan of this.
I'm not.
I'm confused because, like, part of me is like, interesting because that just fucking sucks. That, you know, you've put, you know, one team appeared to do really very well at their prep. The other team was struggling to put anything together. Well, they were putting things together, but they were not as prepared as the other team. So Brown team really looked like they were the ones walking into a bit of a disaster zone. The grey team looked like, oh, fuck, you're going to walk in and all this prep's done. And seriously, it was. Now, then part of me's like, I like this, because there's the choice to either discard or keep. So, yeah, if you choose to keep the simple prep and you fuck it up, that was yours to lose. If you make something good of the difficult prep, you've actually stepped up. But it's still the bars are different, and I'm just confused. You go.
Okay, so it took me all night to work out what my problem was. It took all night. I was sitting there and I'm trying to talk through it on Twitter, and there are lots of people going, oh, no, I like this. And then when they added the twist of the vegetarians...
that was a cool twist, and I reckon that would have been okay if they hadn't done the swap.
Yep.
If they'd have just done other things that you'd find in a restaurant, like, oh, we've got a gluten-free person.
I think they could have added the smaller twists without swapping the teams, and you would have gone, great, I like that. Now, the problem, because I thought at first, I'm like, they've thrown on vegetarians like an afterthought. And I'm like, no, I sort of understand what they're saying in service, that happens. Okay. I sort of get that. It does feel like they've thrown vegetarians in as an afterthought, and we know there are lots of vegetarians who watch MasterChef going, just throw us a fucking bone, or don't a bone, a cauliflower.
Or an asparagus.
A cauliflower mainly, and my God, Simon throws my cauliflower all the time.
I think Simon cracks the cauliflower.
We'll talk about Simon and his cauliflowers. But in the meantime, the problem that I worked out, it took a while to get there, and we got towards the end of the episode and I worked it out. And at the time, I was getting my nights wrong, and I was still like, you can't send a team to an immunity challenge off the back of something that they did half of, and the other team that doesn't win did half of. Mm-hmm. It's worse now. You can't send a team to elimination when half of the dish was prepared by the team that won. So we have a challenge where 50% of the dish that was done was prepared by the team that won, and 50% was done by the team that lost. But the team that lost goes into elimination.
But then it essentially becomes a mystery box challenge, in effect that you've been given these random ingredients and you've got to make something off it. Because, yeah, there was chickens that were all halfway vacuum packed, but you then had to, work out, because they didn't get a fucking, this is what we're cooking, this is how we're cooking it, brief. It was go in and work out what you're going to do. Now, at first I was like, Jess Reynolds, you fucking bastards, going to ruin, just chuck out... Amelia's fucking beautiful shoe. That is a travesty. Then I'm like, oh, I see you now. Nothing goes to waste. Oh, what do you mean there's 50 profiteroles or shoe pastries here? Oh, I guess we'll just have to cook them and eat them afterwards. What a shame.
I felt like that.
How did that happen?
I felt like adding Reynolds into that bit there saying that nothing goes to waste was a bit of a sudden remembering that they'd spent all of last year talking about food waste and had Massimo Bottura on talking about food waste and had spent all this time talking about we don't waste any food, and then they suddenly announced they're throwing out all of these shoe buns.
Again, I think it's Jess and Reynolds going, you know what, we want a snack for afters.
But I get where you're going with the idea of it being, but it's like a mystery box challenge. But my problem is that what are you judging and how are you judging it? What is as you said, the bars are different. So if Brown had done a worse job, but had done a better job, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So say the dishes of Gray had been better, but what Brown had done had been significant improvement.
Yeah.
How do you judge what is a better set of dishes and who's responsible for what? The other problem is, as you said, throwing in the vegetarian twist on top of that made it worse. And for me, the problem was, regardless of sort of what they said, where all these things were tied, realistically, it came down to the two vegetarian dishes in the mains, not in the entrees, but the two main vegetarian dishes are what I feel decided it, and I think it was Simon's cauliflower that decided it. So basically,
no, that sauce sucked. Callum made a shit sauce. Callum went and got this sauce, which he made a big deal about, saying, "Oh, it's not how I would have done it.
I've seen a lot of
I need to balance it out.
To be fair,
I need to make it nice." So he puts this black garlic in it. Sarah tastes it. Is obviously like, there's nothing I can say now.
To be fair, a lot of people on Twitter have commented that the sauce that they were actually making originally also sounded shit. Yeah. And that Callum might well have been right when he picked it up and went, no, this is shit.
So then the decision should have been made at that point.
Oh, they should have dumped it.
By Callum going, fuck it, I'm going to start my own sauce.
They should have dumped it. That's 100%, but that comes back down to leadership. So again, there's a bunch of it. I thought the problem, as far as I sort of the way I can view it, is I just think that they made it far more convoluted than they needed to. They could have thrown in restaurant twists all the way through it. Of you've got some vegetarians, right? You got a couple of vegans. Oh, someone's gluten free. And they could have done that to them all night.
The Queen is coming.
But they could have done that to them all night, and it would make more sense.
New shellfish.
Whereas the big swap over thing, the bars were set at a different level.
Yeah.
And then it became a comparative thing. And also then, the problem became in the judging. Jock, in the judging, all he could talk about with the grey team was he wanted the shoe buns they threw out. He was talking about an element. They gave them the option to keep or throw out. Then they chose to throw out the shoe buns, and all they carried on about in the judging was where the fuck are the shoe buns?
But as Jess and Reynolds said, when they were making that dish, a shoe bun just wouldn't have paired, and that's fair enough.
But this is what I'm saying, though. We're now down to judging. And we're down to, okay, so the judging says you throw it all out or you keep it. And then all you get is Jock carrying on about where are the shoe. You threw the shoe buns out. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but as the end result of the judging is we couldn't decide. Both desserts were fantastic, so we had to go back to the first two dishes and decide what was the bigger crime. Well, they didn't say crime, but you know what I mean.
I get where you're coming from, but I feel like that's a bit of narrative story retelling after the fact because they realised you can't judge them for an element that's not on the plate.
What would you have been more satisfied with, the grey team's dishes or the brown team's dishes?
Look, I think brown team should have won. I have no issue with the result.
Yeah.
I have a problem with the process getting there.
Okay.
That's my problem. I have a problem with the process getting there. I don't have a problem with the result. I think brown team won. But I just think the process to get there was convoluted and it didn't need to be.
Yeah.
I thought they could have done simpler. And you can see on Twitter and you can see live with people watching it that as we were going through it, people were going, I'm with this. I'm with this. I'm sort of with this. This has gotten weird.
Yeah.
What's happening now? Whose dish is good? Is that a good? Is it a bad? I don't. And then it became the shoe bun thing. Yeah. And even though I think Brown won, and I don't think there was a problem with Brown winning. It's like, but you need whinging about that. And then they went, oh, we don't. That didn't matter. But it clearly got to them.
Yeah.
So it was just, I don't know. I felt that at the end of it, and we know, as I said, that sauce wasn't great. But I just felt basically that it came down to Simon's cauliflower dish versus the main entree. I feel like that was it. Because think about it. The one dish they went absolutely fucking mental for was Simon's cauliflower.
No, but they also thought that the asparagus dish, which was the vegetarian entree on the grey team, was far superior than what they thought was the best protein entree, which was also the grey team. So therefore, it evens itself out because we've got good asparagus and good cauliflower. And oh my God, did I piss myself laughing when Simon wandered into the pantry. Oh, these are turning me on.
These are turning me on, he does.
Do you think he goes home and there's his partner just with just dressed up as a cauliflower, and he's like, oh yeah, put on the Barry White.
I don't think he waits. I think he just goes to the fridge.
Just peels back the lettuce, like the leaf, the underleaf of the cauliflower.
But this reminds me, all this discussion about vegetarian food and options reminds me. I went to a formal a couple of years ago now, and the person who organised it was actually in catering. Yeah. And she organised this group to do the catering and talk to them about it. And she said, now I need a gluten-free option.
Yeah.
And what they were making were burgers. So there were burgers as part of it. And the burgers, by the way, were not very good. So what was served to her as the option, I've gone back through to see if I could remember exactly what it was. So what she got was she got a little bit of rice.
Tasty.
A bit of the burger patty.
Yeah.
3 grilled asparagus sticks.
What?
Gluten-free option.
Yeah,
right there.
Thoughtful.
That was the gluten-free.
That makes you feel valued.
That was the gluten-free option that she got.
It's like
she's like showing it around the room and all like, oh, you keep that.
I remember in the early 2000s. I can't remember whose mum's place it was, but I went there with a friend of mine who was vegetarian, and the mum was making a roast, and they've decided that just the roast vegetables and the gravy were okay. But the thing is, and like that may have been all right, except the veggies had been cooked in the same tray as the meat, with the fat coming down, and the gravy had been made with the pan juice, which is...
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like that whole, oh, you're vegetarian, it's okay, I make lamb.
Yeah, I make lamb. I think that the thing we can all sort of agree on is Sarah Tiong's a force of nature.
Yes.
She's incredible. Like, her organisation is just next level good.
I'm going to pause you there because the point that I wanted to make, because I did have a point,
okay,
was this demonstrated that there is no excuse for restaurants to be able to pull together a decent vegetarian dish if they have the care for it at the last moment for someone. Just saying.
Yeah.
Or caterers. Not necessarily us at home, because you might not have a pantry full of sexy cauliflower to go and get your hands around. And
now,
I do caress them gently.
I do also want to bring up at the end.
Yes.
Jess was defending the dessert.
Defenders of dessert.
Now,
defenders.
My question on that was, did Reynolds Reynolds was involved?
Yeah.
Did Reynolds just go, I'm too smart to actually answer questions on this? You defend it?
Yeah, he's like, I'm out.
My
time's out.
They clearly like the shoe buns, and we're not serving those. You defend it.
Yeah, he's out the back eating the shoe.
Because Jess is apologising, going, I hope it's okay. And I'm like, but Reynolds was involved in this. Why isn't he sitting there?
Because Reynolds chubby bunnied the shoe buns and can't go and do the vox pop. So he's got like a face full of shoe buns going, what did you say? It's chubby bunny you eat. Because I look, oh, sorry, I'm
You're getting the chubba chups now. Look, I feel like it's the weirdest challenge I've seen in a while because I don't know how to feel about it.
Yeah.
I genuinely feel like they got it wrong in terms of the execution of an idea that had some potential there. But me, I don't think it was like abhorrent, but by the same token, I'm struggling with if I think it was a good way to pick people for elimination. I don't think it was a good way to send people to elimination.
Yeah, it kind of muddied the waters because the thing with cooking show competitions is you like to see the stakes are fair. So let's use, what's that one that's wacky and they put the fucking weird shit against them and they get like penalties and can only cook with one hand, Chopped, okay? So it's hilarious. It's not something I'd choose to watch every day, but I know that you do enjoy it. But the penalties and stuff with that seem fair because they all start out with even stakes and they can purchase different, penalties to attribute to their...
Yes, we're comparing Masterchef to Chopped.
No, but what I'm trying to demonstrate here is we don't care if things get interesting. We care if they're fair. So where we wanted to see the stakes cranked up is in the something that we didn't see coming that doesn't actually possibly interfere with the state of play in terms of fairness. So if they'd have kept going and just having, gluten-free, you need to go and do this exact same dish, but for 3 people who are gluten-free, and then, with that half hour to go, we need a vegetarian option.
Yep. I want that.
Yeah, we're going to take away one of your appliances. Tell us which one.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, which, how can I put it?
Power's gone out, you can't have this.
Exactly. Like things that would, possibly replicate what would happen in a restaurant with interesting tweaks. We want to see the stakes get higher without the baseline fairness of it.
It's like, the funny part about this, and I've talked a lot about the fact that I absolutely hate the immunity pin. If they had an immunity pin, they could have actually done a variation on this that would have worked for a couple of different ways. So they could have, if they swapped the teams but kept the captains, they could have done it where the captain of the winning team automatically gets an immunity pin. The team that wins at the end of it then doesn't have to go in and cook. And then you could do it that way because it's a leadership thing then, right?
Yeah, but that's not fair because not everyone gets a crack. And as we saw with Poe and Callum, there was a bit of argy-bargy about who would be the captain.
And again, look, but this is where I think the whole thing's a bit...
Yeah, this is why we needed to see some fairness. So whether it was they all started out with the same ingredients, like exact same ingredients and had to prepare, like to do the mise en place and like the preparation and stuff, and then swap after the prep So it's kind of like someone might have been expecting to sous vide some chickens, but instead they're going to be grilling some chickens. Or
what they really didn't think about here, and this is where I would have liked this to go, is the twist should have been that they all had to sit down and a bunch of random diners had to stand up and cook. Or we're giving your team over as a set of judges, and you can pick 3 people. You're losing 3, but you can pick any 3 people out of the audience, but pick wisely.
Yeah.
One of them's a trained chef.
You're not actually feeding people, you're feeding chimpanzees.
Yes. Now you've got to eat all your dishes. First team to finish wins.
They're cooking and they're like, now for round 2, sharks. And the floor just pulls back. And they've got to jump like the floor is lava from bench to bench. All right, being eaten by sharks.
So you've just spent all of this time working on all of these dishes. Now, delivery. Melissa goes, I'm going home again, guys. And they've all suddenly got to pack up this gourmet food and send it by a fucking Uber Eat.
Yeah. Or
sorry, Deliveroo.
See, if you just did the types of meals, it could have been really interesting because you could have said, there's one diner that needs a puree diet. So I'm just thinking about the cool stuff that you could have done. But, great. It's something that we haven't seen before. It was done. It didn't work. Is it a big deal? Well, for the people going into elimination, it is. But for the rest of us...
Yeah, for someone who goes home tomorrow off the back of this...
Big deal.
And can I also just say again, and we've talked to the idea, the audience has talked a lot to the Channel 10 editors, but guys, when you're showing shots of the gantry...
on Thursday...
Like, you're giving away large chunks of information there when you're showing everyone applauding Katy Perry coming in.
Yeah.
Because we can see who's on the gantry and who's on the floor.
Yeah.
Can you not do that, please? It's really... Poe, when she's cooking for her immunity pin, will really enjoy it, I'm sure. Also, that means Poe's not going home.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting, and obviously they've played up the idea that tomorrow night's very emotional. It's sad for all of us to go home, so we'll see who it is. I've got my ideas. No, I'm not going to tell you now because I've been predicting people going home all the way through it, and I don't like feeling like I'm like firing the bullet.
You're like Cassandra.
I'm taking people out. It's not good.
You're like my cousin who was a nurse, or still is a nurse, but she worked in a oncology ward, and every Monday she'd come in on shift. So she'd come in, do her rounds, and find someone dead in this particular bed. That was fine. Second week, same shit happened. Third week, same shit happened. The fourth week, it didn't happen. You know why? Because they refused to let her do a round.
The fifth week it didn't happen. Why? Because they pressed charges.
Yes. She's not an angel of death. Although, she was okay.
Hang on a minute. Okay. She's not an angel of death, and your next word is although.
Okay, so we were, as kids, right, before we knew things such as malpractice and duty of care and all of that stuff, she was going to be an ENT and I was going to be a doctor.
Oh, God.
And she was going to go around in the ambulance and maim people and then bring them to me, and then we'd split the money because apparently that's how the health system worked.
You were going to be basically the equivalency of the late 1980s smash repair industry, where someone crashed the cars and then immediately the next person pulled up in the back of a truck with a truck to tow it away. Uh-huh. Dear God, how has the American system not thought of this? Anyway.
It's all right.
On that note, we'll leave it there for tonight. Apologies if I sound a little bit off too. My throat's a bit sore. No, it's not COVID.
No.
I'm using my voice a lot more in different ways and in different pitches, and it's just really sore.
Gone back into the classroom with the kiddies. I say
so
that.
So it might be COVID, who knows?
Yeah, it could be.
Might be COVID, who knows? Anyway,
that's all right.
If it is COVID, Kristie will have another co-host on Thursday. But otherwise, it should be hopefully me. Up until then, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
We'll catch you all later.
Oh, cauliflower, you're turning me on.